Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. Just recently, yesterday to be more precise, CNBC gave us this article. Credit scores decrease for the first time in a decade as more borrowers fall behind on payments. Now, me personally, I carry zero credit card debt. I pay it on time every single week, and I make sure that I do so. And quite frankly, at this current time, on at least one of my credit card scores, I think from TransUnion, I have a 767. Okay? And I don't even make that much money. However, the national average credit score fell to 717, according to a new report from FICO. And credit cards has steadily, let me repeat this again, has steadily improved for a decade. But increases in missed borrower payments and rising consumer debt levels are starting to take a toll. Now, here's the deal. You hear a lot of times that people should tell you to use your credit card during emergencies. That makes no sense. It's idiotic. That's not what you're supposed to use credit cards for. You're supposed to use a credit card as really to improve your credit score. So in the future, you may get better loans. For example, if I have $500 in the bank, that means I could use a credit card to up to at least $500, right? So I pay for it with credit card. I pay it back later next week. I get some cash back if I have a cashback card, etc. That is what you need to do. Now from there, okay, and this is what's really important. You need to realize that your credit card is not extra money. That credit card is really supposed to be used as an extension to really empower yourself economically by making more money, which is what? Having a business. Why do I say that? If you look at a lot of businesses, right? Businesses don't really pay full value for a lot of items, right? So sometimes you have a hair salon business and they don't own the building that they're in. Sometimes multi-billion-dollar corporations will purchase, real estate on the lease instead of buying the lease. They all do this with some form of credit extension, etc. Now, the problem is when it's scaled downwards, it doesn't make sense because the majority of people, when they make a living for themselves, they're making a living from their own labor. What do I mean by their own labor? They're making their living mostly from their wage or their salary. That is what it's about. Now, here's another thing. This isn't really talked about as much as well. Okay. Credit cards are really there to undermine most people. Why do I say that? Because I'm one of the rare people, as some would be, that pay their credit cards fully. I don't carry, any balances, so I don't pay any, interest rates, etc. Right? Most people do. And because that's the case, a lot of these credit card companies, like your Discover, like your MasterCard, Visa, American Express, they use those interest payments and those loans that they try to give to people as their way of making profit and revenue. All right. So let's continue reading this article. Okay. As of October, which is, I'm assuming, last year, the average credit card utilization was 35%, up from 33% a year earlier, and the share of borrowers with a 30-day past due missed payment against their credit accounts was also higher. Right? Consumers have been increasingly relying on credit cards to make ends meet, and it may be financially catching up with them. So as I said before, I said this again, a lot of people use credit cards as an extension of their income, right? So let's say you're making $50K, you have a $30,000 credit card. A lot of people will say, well, I have $18,000 worth of spending power. Okay, That may be correct, but you can only really spend $50,000. You understand? This is where a lot of people miss that. However, I will say this. The reason why a lot of people have that way of thinking is because they've been conditioned since birth that it's okay to continuously accrue debt so that they can have financial and economic success later on. One of those things, at least two of those things that I could think about on top of my head, is having a mortgage, which is a loan to get a house, and student loans. Now, I'm all for people owning houses. I'm even all for people, going to college. Okay. But the problem is that there doesn't seem to be a, step by step way in today's society to go from A to B, and you make the income so you get all those things for yourself. Like, if you're a person who has to make a living from their job, it's highly unlikely you're ever going to own your house straight up by just paying it with straight cash. Highly unlikely. Same thing with student loans. It's hard to pay for your student loans while in college, right? Because they expect you to pay thousands of dollars because, this is the modern era. And if you're not this ultimately smart kid getting 30s on their ACTs or getting 15, 1600s on their SATs, you're probably not going to get a full scholarship. And even with said full scholarship, right, and this isn't talked about as much, you still may be having to pay for your room and board. So what happens? Well, the best way is to, get loans. Best way is to get a mortgage and help, streamline your opportunities in having more success. Now, let's continue going on. The national average credit score, which has steadily increased over the last decade, fell to 717 from a high of 718 in the beginning of 2023, according to a report from FICO, developer of one of the scores most widely used by the lenders. FICO scores range between 300 and 850. I don't know why they will say 718 with 1 point different from 117. 717, sorry. But, okay, let's look at this chart. FICO scores, average FICO score in the United States. From 2005, it's 618. Then it's decreasing, then it's up. So the highest it was in 2023, okay? And the pandemic, ironically, shot, people's credit scores up because, more people got some spending cash. Okay, now let's look to the next headline. Consumers are falling deeper in debt. High interest rates and higher prices have weighed on most Americans' financial standing. Consumers as a whole are falling deeper into debt, causing an increase in credit card balances and an uptick in missed payments, FICO found. You always hear that the economy is roaring, right? And the reason why the economy is roaring is because of the stock market. Problem is, even though a lot of Americans are in the stock market is dominated by really 10% of people. I think the top 50 or 60, 70%, I forgot, I should have these stats in front of me, is really dominated by the, top 10% of people. So, if you're really saying that, hey, if all the economy has to do is just run on 10% of people and it's good, then that's going to be problematic. Why? Because it's giving you a false understanding on who's having success in the market. As you can see, a lot of people are having to pay, for those credit card balances. That's going to definitely have a hamper in the market. Consumers are falling deeper in debt, as it was said before, and they're talking about nonsense on what makes a good credit score. Anyways, here's the gist. All right, don't fall into debt. If you do get a credit card, get a cashback credit card if you can, and if anything at all, is going to be imperative that you try to establish your business so you can have success and not deal with the nonsense that is you just getting loans and getting into debt. That's all I got to say. Hope you enjoy. Have a wonderful day. Bye.